Hey there, this is Molly McCord, and thank you for joining me as we take a look at the Taurus New Moon of May 2019. It's happening on May 4th at 6:45 Eastern Time, so be sure and adjust for your time zone and location on the planet. And yes, may the 4th be with you during this new moon as we have the sun and moon together at 14 degrees of Taurus. And this is a really lovely new moon because of what it's helping you build, where it's bringing you back to what you value now, what you find meaningful, and to grow that, to allow that to be strong, stable, and clear, and to know that you have support as this new moon cycle begins to build it. So as always, the sun and the moon are conjunct during the new moon. It is the darkest time in the sky. And in your natal chart, you would look at which house 14 degrees of Taurus is. And that's where this new energy is coming through and asking you to set your intention, your clarity around what you want to build and develop next. Now, this new moon is interesting because it is the third moon ruled by Venus since March 20th. We had a full moon in Libra. We had another full moon in Libra, April 19th, and now we have the Taurus new moon. This is the third time Venus has been the ruler of a moon, whether a full moon or a new moon. And to me, that means we are restructuring and reawakening the feminine. Venus has been in the spotlight because she is moving through a rebirth. And at this new moon, she is in Aries at 17 degrees, and this makes her independent, a leader. She wants to do things her own way. She is the boss. This is a take charge Venus, and she's ready to get something started now. She's ready to begin what she had to wait for. Because during March and April, she was moving through Pisces and letting go. Now she starts with a new sense of self. And now she has the support of the sun and moon in Taurus to go forward with practical steps, a realistic understanding, and to know that it's time. It's time for her to move into her new expression of, and I feel that this Venus energy that we've been reworking is a new confidence in feminine energies within each of us. And what does that feel like for you? What does that look like? Regardless if you are male or female, we all have feminine energies that have been giving us messages. And this Venus is bolder and clearer about what she wants. And this new moon means it's time to put more into action. Venus is actually moving to a sextile with Mars at 22 Gemini. That supportive energy that gives her more desire to go for what she wants. So there's a nice compatibility here. This would be the masculine and this is the feminine, and they are working together. Now, the other things about this new moon chart that became apparent to me as I was studying this is that the new moon happens May 4th. Then the moon moves forward, then the sun moves forward. They each will connect with Neptune at 18 degrees of Pisces, who's dissolving and completing what was, but then also giving you access to a new dream and a new connection to spiritual lessons and understanding. So I'm feeling like there's solid energy with this Taurus to make the Neptune and Pisces visions real. So that will happen twice. The moon moves fastest. So later in the day, the moon will get to 18 degrees and sextile, but the moon is fast moving. 4 days later, May 8th, the sun will be at 18 degrees and connect with this Neptune and give you an understanding of what is being built and a checking in that it's in alignment with your highest self. Then after the sun and the moon connect with Neptune, they're each going to do a connection to Saturn at 20 degrees of Capricorn and then Pluto at 23 degrees of Capricorn. Of course, we talk about these two in every video because they are the global change makers right now. They are transforming the world as we know it, and not only destroying and ending certain areas of our world, but then going to build up the new. At this time, with both the sun and the moon in Taurus earth signs connecting with the Capricorn earth sign energies, it gives us power and strength to keep going, to take care of each day, to take care of our physical world, to take care of money. Taurus is a money energy, which is rooted in self-worth and what you believe you are worthy of making. Taurus is the energy of what we possess and what we want in our life, what we want to have. And it can be an understanding that self-sufficiency is highlighted with Taurus. And there can also be a desire for what is reliable. This is a fixed sign that wants stability and can resist change. Of course, both the sun and the moon have already passed Uranus after this new moon that maybe shook something up or brought in that breakthrough, that quick disruptive change. After that disruptive or unexpected energy of conjunctions to Uranus, they move forward and they connect with the long-term plan of Capricorn. So I feel like this new moon, it really plants something within us about what's important to us now, what we value, what we want, what we need. And then over the next week, the Neptune and Pisces energy supports that experience of the vision, of the understanding of what's happening within you. And then as these energies connect with Capricorn, this is the long-term process. This is the long-term path that requires discipline, work, and effort. And because that can be involved, that's how the manifestations happen. That's how what you envision becomes real. It's through the earth signs that something is made real, because the earth signs are all about our physical, tangible lives. And that is, in this chart, money, what we value, what we want, what we own, and how we put it out in the world through a profession, a career, a public status, responsibility, discipline, experience. So we're really being asked to look at, what are you building in your life that has value and meaning to you right now, that maybe looks different than even a year ago? And again, because Venus has been strong lately, through these charts, through the full moon and now the new moon, there's a new sense of self and giving your feminine energy the courage to go for what she wants and what she needs. Also in this chart, Mercury is at 26 degrees of Aries, and he can have a fast tongue in Aries. He can be quick to anger, but he can be courageous, and he can say what he needs to say. And this Mercury just recently made a trine to Jupiter at 23 degrees of Sag. When Jupiter and Mercury connect, especially through a trine, it can be very busy, of a lot of travel, a lot of energy, a lot of communication, a lot going on, projects, ideas, things happening, things taking off. A desire to move is very strong because Mercury is a sprinter. Mercury wants to get somewhere quickly, and in Aries, he travels really fast. So it can be a busy time mentally or even in your daily life. And especially when there was this exact trine to Jupiter that makes things bigger, there could have been some good news. Good news comes through when Jupiter and Mercury meet up in a trine. So that definitely adds to the energy of this new moon, of maybe you got some good news, some new developments, a new start, something finally happening, and that gave you a new plan to put into motion based on what you want and in this May energy. A few other quick notes here is how not only are the sun and the moon connecting with Neptune, Saturn, and Pluto, but of course the south node is right here, asking us to be very clear that we're letting energy go. I get the image of pushing cargo off the plane. You know, like you're just unloading. And this is big, it's global, it's collective, it's in our psyches, it's fears. Fears around power, how power has been used, abused, misused. So there's a lot here that's being released. Again, we can see that in our world of how powerfully institutions, governments are changing. And that's just part of the energy of the next number of years. That isn't going to go away. But we are understanding that it's an ending to a cycle, to an energy that humanity was moving through and learning. So we're also then reconnecting with the North Node up here at 21 degrees of Cancer, which is that you can always go home to your internal self, your internal world, and to create that safe harbor, to create that safe place within you that can't be touched, that's your own, that's private, that's sacred. And so the sun and the moon are both going to make eventually a sextile to this North Node, asking you to check in with yourself, check in with what you know is true for you, and to look at what you trust in yourself. And if you are trusting your needs, your emotions, and your heart as we go through this rather big time, this rather big year. Now, I mentioned Mars before. Mars at 22 degrees of Gemini is very active, is a multitasker, is very much on the go, has two phones, one in each hand, can be, quick to words and then regret them, or can be a very fast talker, fast mover and shaker, very social. This energy is being opposed by Jupiter, which through the opposition, there can be a power struggle or something that reveals itself of, I'm doing all of this on a daily basis, but what does it even mean? Where is it taking me? Is this really what I want? So this opposition to Jupiter can be a checking in of the bigger vision. What's it all about? How does everything I'm doing today affect my long-term plans and what I really want to do? So that opposition is meant to be something that gives you perspective. And sometimes Mars in Gemini doesn't have perspective because it's very go, go, go. It's to the next meeting, the next text, the next project. Again, it's a very busy Mars. And this is where you just look at what's it all about, and is this how I want to be directing my energy every day? So that opposition is meant to slow you down in some ways. It's meant to provide understanding that you can do a lot in a day, but what are you doing for the year? And does today matter for the week, for the month, or for the year, or the next number of years? There was a T-square here with Mars and Jupiter making that T-square to Neptune at 18 degrees of Pisces. This is a T-square in the mutable signs. The mutable signs are about change, adaptability, possibilities. They can be flaky. They can be non-committal. They can say, oh, maybe, I don't know. Let's just see. The T-square here means that some things could have been up in the air and you weren't quite sure what to choose, what to go. Maybe it just was a sense of, I don't know, and there's too much on the table, I can't make a choice. But I feel like this new moon is bringing you back to earth, and it's very grounded in what does matter to you right now and what matters for the long term. And not only the long term, but what you have control over. Because again, Taurus is self-sufficient, and it says, okay, I can make these choices, or I can create this in my life. And that's how I'm going to build my life, based on meaning, based on what I want, and of course, what I value, one of the key words of Taurus. So I feel like overall with this new moon, we have a lot of energy to go for it, to follow what you want, and to know that now is the time to build for this year, to build on the plans that were delayed in March or perhaps changed in April. And it's time to come back to yourself and to take a risk on what you want, and that will serve you. Remember, the feminine energy has been reworked, and that means the feminine energy has more strength. She has a stronger voice. She has a stronger knowingness of who she is now, and she knows she's worth it. She knows she can have what she wants, and that this is a time to really love how far you've come. Allow yourself to be renewed. Allow yourself to be strong, independent, and loving, because I feel like this new moon has a lot of strength in it. It's strength in the feminine, strength in what has changed, strength in where you're going, and an understanding that we trust these cycles at times, and we can feel like we don't have choices, or that we're stuck, or that something isn't moving and you really want it to move. There's movement here. There's movement here. Oh, and by the way, this Mercury at 26 of Aries, just a few days before this new moon, would have been sextiling Mars, which also brings in energy to follow the ideas, like fast moving energy. So you can see that this is quite dynamic, and that we are moving into new cycles as May begins. One other thing to point out to you that I've mentioned in previous videos is that now the lunar cycle is back to its new rhythm. Its regular rhythm. What that means is that when the sun enters a sign, in this case, the sun enters Taurus, typically you want to have the new moon in Taurus, and in 2 weeks, we'll have the Scorpio full moon. Well, previously, we had the opposite lunar cycle, where the sun would enter a sign, and right away, we had the full moons at 0 degrees. And that was for maybe 6 months. There were those full moons at 0 degrees, right? So that was more of a reactionary energy, where the sun moved into a new astrological sign. There was a full moon that shakes things up, that brings in new awareness, new changes, and then the new moon followed. Now, we're having the new moon and then the full moon. The new moon and then the full moon. So this brings in the natural rhythm to the lunar cycles, which gives us greater strength, allows us to build, allows us to move through a process. And it isn't reactionary. It isn't like there's a full moon and then you're trying to hustle to complete a bunch of things for the new moon. There's more of a calm, a grace, and a gliding energy now that the lunar cycle is back to its natural rhythm. So you could feel that change as well with May. So May has a lot of lovely energies. Please make the most of this for yourself. Again, look at where 14 degrees of Taurus is in your chart. And I hope that this is a beautiful time for you to set your intentions, to get clear on what's important to you now, and to also give you the strength and the will to build it and to follow it. Thank you for joining me. I so appreciate your likes, subscribes, and comments. You can find out more about me and my offerings below this video. I have astrology classes, astrology podcast. I'm an author of 12 books, and I offer business development for healers, spiritual experts, authors, and guides, because we all do this work together. We are all needed. And as we enter the next decade, we're really going to be called to the forefront as we enter some big energies. So that is my intention, is to support more people building up their online business. So please check out more below this video, and I'll be back soon to talk with you about the Scorpio full moon.